am going to call the October 20th, 2025 Board of Education meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Ms. Kurth?
Here.
Ms. Khan? Here. Ms. Martin?
Here.
Ms. Nolan?
Here.
Ms. Schwartz?
Here.
Ms. Thomas?
Here.
President Owens?
Here. May I have a motion to move into closed session to discuss individual student disciplinary matters, pending probable or imminent litigation, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, specific individuals who serve as an independent contractor in a park, recreational, or educational setting, or specific volunteers of the public or legal counsel for the public body, the purchase or lease of real property for the use of the school board, the setting of a price for the sale or lease of real property owned by the school board, an internal audit, control weakness, identification of potential fraud risk areas, known or suspected frauds, and fraud interviews, collective negotiating matters between the school board and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees, the review of closed session minutes, and individual student matters.
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Kurth?
Yes.
Ms. Khan?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Ms. Nolan?
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
President Owens?
Yes.
We're in closed session at 5:46 p.m.
The October 20th, 2025 Board of Education meeting. If I could have everybody stand as you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance. Oops. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Well, the first item on our agenda this evening is Accent on Achievement. Dr. Johnson?
Thank you, President Owens. In recognition of National School Bus Safety Week, October 20th through the 24th, 2025, a proclamation of appreciation is being presented to representatives of the U-46 Transportation Department. Members of the U-46 Transportation Department, including drivers, assistants, mechanics, shop staff, trainers, and office personnel work collaboratively to ensure the safe transportation of approximately 22,000 children to and from 56 in-district and approximately 34 out-of-district sites each day. To achieve this remarkable task, U-46 drivers collectively travel 4 million miles every school year, demonstrating exceptional dedication, professionalism, and commitment to student safety. So I'm going to ask that our Director of Transportation, Marcy Murphy, come forward, as well as board member Samreen Khan, to start. And then I think Marcy Murphy may have others that she's gonna recognize here.
Proclamation of appreciation. Hold on. Okay. National School Bus Safety Week. Whereas the U-46 Transportation Department serves about 22,000 students daily, transporting children to 56 in-district and approximately 34 out-of-district sites each day, resulting in U-46 buses traveling 4 million miles in a school year. And whereas the members of the U-46 transportation staff work together every school day to ensure a safe and timely journey for students, and whereas the U-46 transportation staff not only lends their special skills and talents to the efficient operation of the school system, they have also played a significant role in the district's quest for continuous improvement. And whereas the contribution of these dedicated drivers, assistants, mechanics, shop staff, trainers, and office personnel are recognized in honor of National School Bus Safety Week, October 20th to 24th, 2025.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, last one. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education recognizes this talented staff in honor of National School Bus Safety Week and ask administrators, teachers, students, parents, and the community to join in thanking these individuals for their dedication, efforts, and service on behalf of children and youth. Presented this 20th day of October 2025. Board of Education President Melissa Owens and Superintendent Dr. Johnson.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I do have a prepared response. Is good evening, President Owens, members of the board, and Superintendent Johnson, as well as our guests. On behalf of the U-46 Transportation Department, I want to thank you for this recognition in honor of National School Bus Safety Week. Each day, our team together ensure that students arrive to and return home from school safely. It is a responsibility we take to heart, one that requires teamwork, professionalism, and deep commitment to the families we serve. Thank you for your continued support and for recognizing the important role we play in helping students access their education safely every day. Thank you. I wrote everybody's names down. I apologize. We do have our Assistant Director, Elizabeth Lapa, with us. Woohoo! We have Amy Polgar, who is our PM Route Manager at our 500 Shales building. We also have Oscar, Topete, who is our PM Route Manager up at 500 Shales. Thank you. We have our Due To Board President and School Bus Driver, Heather Wise, with us. And we have drivers Jill Muscotti, Steve Adams, D. Adams, Joy McCarron, did I kill it? And Sharon Mahoney. Assistant, I apologize. Drivers and Sharon's, you're not any less important, Sharon, you need to stand up. You are vital, yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you all.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is strategic plan report. Dr. Johnson.
Thank you, President Owens. This evening, our first strategic plan report is a facility planning update. Brian Lindholm, Chief of Staff, Dr. Ann Williams, Deputy Superintendent of Operations, and Sheila Downs, Assistant Superintendent of Operations, will present to the Board of Education an update on facility planning.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to provide another facilities update. Tonight's presentation includes a slightly different lineup than what you've seen in other meetings, but represents several important elements supporting our ongoing facilities work. So we're going to start with an update on the overall district enrollment, which, as we know, was a major driver of the Unite U-46 recommendations, many of which are being carried out now, including retiring of some of our oldest schools. Sheila Downs will then provide a summary of recent investments we've made to maintain our facilities across the district, and will then shift to providing an update and a recommendation to name our new middle school in Elgin. And then finally, Dr. Williams will provide an update on financing the Unite U-46 initiative and the next round of referendum bonds we would like to issue. So to start, we'll review the official district enrollment data for the 2025-2026 school year that was reported to the state as of September 30th. This slide shows the overall student enrollment across U-46, and it highlights the declining trend that we've seen over the past several years. As you can see in the bottom row of the table, we lost an additional 1,104 students, or approximately 3.2% from last year, resulting in an official enrollment of 33,182 students. This marks the most significant year-over-year decrease that we've seen outside of the 2020-2021 school year during the first year of COVID. As we shared previously, the enrollment decline is largely due to declining birth rates, meaning fewer school-age children in our attendance area. This year, however, we did see a reduction in the number of newcomer students, meaning students enrolled in U-46 this year as their first enrollment in a U.S.-based school. This number is down by approximately half from this point last year, which may be impacted by concerns in the community regarding ICE activity and immigration enforcement. We do typically see newcomer students enroll in our schools on a rolling fashion throughout the year, so it will be interesting to see if the recent immigration activities keep these numbers down this year. This slide then graphically depicts the declining enrollment over the past several years, as well as forecasting several years forward. It shows the expected bottoming out of our total enrollment at around 30,000 in the next several years. Here we show enrollment per grade level over the past several years. If you look at each cluster of bars, you can see how enrollment for that particular grade level has dropped. As you can see, we are maintaining larger class sizes at the high school level for now, but we are seeing smaller class sizes in our lower grade levels, which will begin to matriculate through the system. I've circled ninth grade, which typically represents our largest class, to show the decline that the decline that we're seeing is occurring at all grade levels. We will see these smaller cohorts working through our middle and high schools in the coming years, further driving down the total district enrollment. If we establish a new normal of approximately 2,200 students per class, our total district enrollment will settle somewhere around 30,000. As I shared earlier, there are several factors impacting our enrollment declines, but the most significant is the declining birth rates in our district. Over the last 20 years, the number of births within U-46 has been trending lower at an average rate of approximately 100 fewer births per year, resulting in annual number of births that are down about 1,800 per year from the peak in 2006. We were disappointed to see the birth number in 2023 resume the decline that we had seen after 2022's data indicated we may have reached a bottom. So now we're anxiously awaiting the 2024 data to see if this trend continued or if the decline has stopped or maybe even reversed. We know that historically around 70% of the children born in our attendance area will enroll at a U-46 school for kindergarten 5 years later. So a majority of the kindergarten cohort that we're serving this year were born in 2019 and 2020, which means we could potentially be seeing slightly smaller kindergarten classes in the next few years due to the lower birth rates in the years 2021, 2022, and 2023. Next, we'll look at the enrollment shifts this year by level. To start, you can see our pre-K enrollment is up by 124 students this year, which is great to see. We opened pre-K classrooms at Coleman and Fox Meadow this year, and we'll be adding many additional sites next year as part of the larger shift with the new attendance boundaries and moving 6th grade to our middle schools. The pre-K enrollment also always increases during the year as students become age eligible, so we're expecting these numbers to go up as they have in previous years. And you may recall that one of the main objectives of our Facilities Master Plan and Unite U-46 work is to continue to increase the pre-K opportunities in our district by adding pre-K classrooms to our elementary schools and making them more easily accessible for our families. So we hope to see this year's trend continuing. Next, moving to our elementary schools, our total enrollment in grades K through 6 is down by 537 students this year. Much of the decline is due to a smaller incoming kindergarten class, which came in under 2,100 students this year. You will see we saw significant declines in several of our elementary schools, including those listed here that all lost at least 10% of their enrollment from last year. Smaller incoming kindergarten classes are a large part of the decline, but we are also digging into the data to better understand where we lost some older returning students this year as well. Next, our middle school enrollment is down by 102 students this year as the cohorts of incoming middle school students continues trending slightly smaller than in previous class sizes. This is a trend we anticipate continuing over the next several years based on the class sizes that we're seeing now in our lower grades. As you can see, we had lower enrollments in 6 of our 8 middle schools this year with slight increases at Larson and Canton. We also have 257 7th graders at Hawk Hollow this year, which accounts largely for the drop seen at Eastview and Kenyon Woods. Next year, you'll see 6th graders in our middle school numbers and not in our elementary numbers, so we'll see a significant shift in how these enrollments are captured. And finally, our enrollment is also down at the high school level. Same story, as smaller cohorts are beginning to make their way through U-46. Looking at our class sizes in our lower grades, we expect to see the high school enrollment decline by several hundred students over the next few years and will ultimately settle somewhere closer to 9,000 students. As you can see, all 5 of our comprehensive high schools had a declining enrollment, with the largest decline seen at South Elgin High School. We expect the enrollment at South Elgin High School to drop again next year as the new attendance boundaries go into effect and will shift some students who live along Route 59 to Bartlett High School. There are approximately 50 current 8th graders who will be impacted by this change, along with any older students who submit boundary exception requests to allow them to move to Bartlett High School next year. So that concludes the overview of our student enrollment data. And at this point, I will turn it over to Ms. Sheila Downs, who's going to provide an update on some of the maintenance projects we've done to facilities across the district.
Good evening. So it is my opportunity to just tell you kind of the projects that Plant Operations has done over the last 2 years. Obviously, there's been a huge focus on the Unite U-46 project, but there's been a lot of supplemental work to ensure that the rest of the schools also get things. And so you'll see that there were a plethora of projects that benefited schools throughout the district. And so in FY24, we completed $32 million worth of projects. And then in FY25, we did an additional $18 million. And so that is a wide array of projects to support our infrastructure, from parking lot reconstructions, roof replacements, athletic upgrades, and many health, life, safety projects. And so one of the best parts about this presentation is that I get to show you lots of pictures of the incredible work. So for Plant Operations, seeing is believing. And so the next several slides will show you some of the incredible work that the Plant Operations team coordinated. And so we did a brand new roof on Centennial Elementary School. Next slide. Also, transportation's parking lot, where we house a great deal of our buses and support the transportation department. That parking lot was redone at 500 Shales. And then Pathways, Phase 2 was completed at Streamwood High School, and that gave a lot of the students state-of-the-art facilities to support what they're doing in the classroom and give them real-life experiences and a sample of what it would be like to work in the workforce. So for FY24, so just some quick stats. Over 20 projects were completed. The biggest thing, though, is that the summers seem to get shorter and shorter each year. And so the Plant Operations is very proud that they're able to do so much in so little time. And so they were able to do over 20 projects in 20 weeks. Again, the total value was over $32 million. Hawk Hollow also kicked off that year, and so that was a really big project. Obviously, Plant Operations typically does much smaller projects, but they were very proud of the work that they did to contribute to Hawk Hollow. And then again, that department is small, but they are mighty. And so it's one coordinator and 2 project managers, and they came in 100% on time and 100% on budget. And so again, they are proudly delivering safe, modern learning environments for students and staff. And then let's fast forward to FY25. The Elgin parking lot was definitely in need of repair. And so that has made a huge difference in that campus. And so there's some of the pictures of the work as it was going on and then the finished result. Another highlight of FY25 was the Bartlett High School Pathways. This was the first phase. There will be an additional phase this upcoming year where we'll go back there for the healthcare and the culinary projects, but the welding, the automotive, the wood shop, and several other of the CTE programs, their spaces were all renovated. And then the custodial department didn't want to be left out, and so they make sure that they're contributing to the facilities as well. And so they redid several gym floors in FY24 at Bartlett High School, Elgin High, and Teft Middle School. And then interior upgrades. Again, South Elgin High School, it may not have been as noticeable, but we did replace the water softener there. And then Larkin Auditorium, obviously, that is a very visible difference, and that has made a world of difference for that space and for the students in that program. Additional interior upgrades include the light dimming at the auditorium at Elgin High. Prairie View got the heat pump replacement for their HVAC system. Ron O'Neill got ceiling and lights, their phase 2, so that project completed. And then intercoms and clocks were also done at Ron O'Neill. Additional interior upgrades, the Elgin High Pool is currently underway right now. They are wrapping up that project as we speak. They currently just filled the pool, so they are very excited, and so that should come back online in the next couple weeks. And then they also completed the auditorium rigging at Elgin High School. An additional interior upgrade is the Highland Elementary domestic water system. And I thought this was a really cool picture, but again, just to kind of show you the magnitude of some of the projects. So Coleman Elementary got a brand new water main. And then again, the health life safety systems, those are systems that a lot of people don't have an opportunity to notice when they're functioning properly. And so our goal is to make sure that we're keeping up with those repairs and replacements. And so fire alarms were replaced at Creekside, Heritage, Horizon, and Transportation. Additional mechanical and system upgrades for both FY24 and FY25, they both included generators. So generators were installed at Horizon, Lords Park, and Heritage. At Bartlett, at Clinton, and at Hillcrest, they did all of the wiring, and they'll come back and install the generators this summer. And then we replaced the HVAC at Sycamore Trails. And then roofs, obviously, that is a big part of any building infrastructure. And so the Coleman Elementary School and Larkin Elementary Schools both got new roofs, as well as the distribution center. And then exterior upgrades resulted in the Streamwood High getting a stadium picnic pavilion. We've gotten really great feedback from our community about how that's changed that facility. We also completed and replaced the stairs at DuPage. And then last but certainly not least on this slide is the Fox Meadow Elementary Playground. And we got a picture of all the staff celebrating their upgrade. Eastview. This is one that was a grounds special, and so our grounds department went out there and they completely revamped the exterior of Eastview. They planted trees, they planted lots of planting, and it has made a huge difference in the curb appeal of that school. And then grounds is hard at work, and so we are really excited to have certified playground installers in our district. That is a rarity. Most districts don't have that. However, with pre-K moving to most of our schools, we are slowly but surely starting to install all of the sets that we need. And so you see on this slide, there were several. The grounds department has never installed so many at one time. However, they are very busy, and one great thing about the grounds department is they can install in winter. And so the ones that have not yet been installed but are listed are definitely still a work in progress. All right, so maintenance statistics. So our maintenance team is 38 strong. We have glazers, we have a glazer, we have a carpenter, and we have several tradesmen. But just for 38 people, in FY24, they completed 12,622 work orders. And then those same 38 in FY25 completed 13,598 work orders. So it just tells you the magnitude of work that is passing through the shop. However, they are very dedicated and they do incredible work for the district. And then the warehouse. And so we have a really robust warehouse operation. And so all of the board proposals that you see that result in physical assets typically move through the warehouse. And so it is no small task. They had 103 curriculum purchases this last year and building requests that they processed. They got over 200 pallets just of Eureka Math that they take all of the books out and they asset tag every single book. 8,000 packages and pallets received, and 7,971 deliveries to the schools. And so they, again, are a team of 14. However, they process a great deal of materials for the district and are making a huge contribution. And then our BASCO office, which is our Building Access Security Control office, they also had a huge contribution. So in FY24, they completed 45 projects, and they completed 33 in FY25. But that is district-wide, and so they added additional playground cameras and fob access, video monitoring stations throughout buildings. They replaced outdated cameras and multi-lens units to increase visibility. They upgraded their servers, and then elementary schools, they added 38 foyer cameras to just provide additional visibility. And again, the BASCO office, they're very proud of their stats as well. So in FY24, they programmed 996 fobs. That number obviously increased to over 1,000 the following year. And then just appointments, it doubled year over year. And so again, when there's staffing, when there's people who lose their fobs or keys, that department makes sure that they are promptly servicing all of our staffs to support the buildings. And then last but not least, they also share their stats for emails. So obviously we run a really robust list of capital projects, and typically plant operations is not known as a profit center. And so typically we spend money, but it is rare that we actually make the district money. And so we're extremely proud that in FY24, they were able to generate some revenue, $30,000 from selling surplus trucks, $99,000 in the strategic energy management and obtaining incentives and rebates. And so that's our energy team that go after certain incentives for every project that we do. Again, they share their stat for selling surplus equipment, but then also in FY25, you see that they generated another $103,713.88 through rebates and energy initiatives. And so the plant operations department also has a really fun energy incentive program that the schools take very seriously, and they compete. And so we just shared our year's winners. The schools get a prize, and then they were able to buy things that benefit the school. So whether that is a buddy bench or a new washer dryer or things, basketball hoops. And so this is just some of the things that have been chosen. All right, and that concludes my presentation. Again, obviously, we thank the Board of Education very much just for the continued investment in the facilities. And at this time, Dr. Ann Williams will come up and talk about the naming of the new middle. I think this is you, right?
I'll keep going.
Okay, Brian's gonna stay, and I'm gonna go. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheila. Yeah, so next we have an exciting update on establishing a name for our new middle school in Elgin. We recently completed the process that's been established under board policy for naming a district facility, and we'll be sharing the results of that process this evening. The process included a 30-day period for anyone in the U-46 community to submit nominations. It included a town hall meeting to provide public comments, and then it included a final poll to indicate preference among the nominations that were submitted. So we held the town hall meeting at Hilltop Elementary on October 1st. We really had great turnout and engagement. It made me proud of the U-46 community to see how many people showed up, how thoughtful all the public comments were, and then how the people in the audience kind of cheered each other on and offered encouragement. It was a pretty great night. This slide is just to give you an overview of the wide range of nominations that we received and considered. The U-46 community offered thoughtful suggestions to name our school after local or national figures. Some highlighted the local geography, and others espoused values like unity, diversity, legacy, or freedom. We received nominations in both English and Spanish, and we ended up with a long list with many worthy candidates. These nominations were all included in the poll, where we asked community members to indicate their preference in each category. And then after reviewing the nominations, the public comments from the town hall meeting, and the Google poll results, the administration created a report that we shared with Dr. Johnson and the Board of Education. This report included our recommendation for the name of the school for the board to consider this evening. So, after much deliberation, administration, I should say, is recommending that we name the new middle school Legacy Middle School to honor the local figures who have left a significant imprint on U-46, particularly in our middle schools. To build on the theme of Legacy Middle School, we would like to establish a legacy wall just outside the main office leading to the Learning Stair in the new school, where we'll celebrate local figures who've contributed significantly to U-46 and its middle schools. We can then also consider dedicating other spaces, such as the library, gymnasium, or auditorium, to prominent U-46 figures. To start, we thought it would be appropriate to honor Emmy Ellis and Edward H. Abbott to recognize their contributions, as well as to honor the historical significance of those schools that will be retiring. Under the legacy theme, we would also look to recognize other U-46 educators who've made lasting, impactful contributions to our district, including many that were nominated as part of this process. So later this evening, there's a resolution authorizing the naming of the new school to Legacy Middle School for consideration by the Board of Education. And as my final slide, I also thought it would be appropriate to share some of the public comments from Katie Pappas, a U-46 health teacher at Timber Trails Elementary. Katie came to the town hall meeting on October 1st and spoke very persuasively about why she submitted Legacy Middle School as her nomination. I won't read the entire slide, but I particularly appreciated her closing remarks, which said, "Choose a name that says you belong here, you matter, and you'll leave your mark." Well done, Katie. So as I shared earlier, the board will review a form of resolution later this evening recommending this name for the new middle school in Elgin. The resolution would then come back on November 3rd as a discussion action item for the board to potentially take action on this recommendation. So at this point, I would like to turn over to Dr. Williams to give an update on the financing behind the Unite U-46 projects.
Thank you, Brian. Not as exciting, but financing is very fun. So we'll talk a little bit about some of the slides that we reviewed with you back in 2022 at the beginning of this process. And so what I'd like to do is, in preparation for our conversation with our bond consultant, Liz Hennessy from Raymond James, you can have a seat because it's going to be a few seconds. And then we'll get into Liz's presentation after we review a few facts. So you may recall this slide from a few years ago, and it just speaks to the different funding sources that we have for our buildings, operating funds, reserve funds, and bonds, and we have used all three to fund the Unite U-46 initiative. It's important to note that some of the most critical projects that we have, for example, Elgin High School is a significant project. While it falls outside of the Unite U-46 plan, it is no less essential. So there is a need to utilize all three funding sources to continue the good work we're doing on our facilities here. This slide may be familiar as well. It shows you an example of how we can issue new bond debt without raising taxes. The graph shows you here with the yellow bars the existing bond debt, and then as we pay off existing debt, we have the opportunity to issue new bonds as shown by the blue bars here. Now you may be wondering, should we let the rate drop to save taxpayers money? Letting the rate fall artificially may seem appealing, but it limits our long-term flexibility. We'd be giving away the capacity that we've built over decades just when we need it most to continue to fund some of these important projects. As you will see in the next few slides, we have the ability to issue working cash bonds in 2026 as well as 2028 to help fund some of the projects that are needed. Again, Elgin High School, including science labs, a secure entrance in preparation for the IB initiative, and much needed updates to other public-facing spaces within the high school. The scope of the Unite U-46 projects has always been ambitious. We've talked about modernizing buildings, expanding pre-K, transitioning to a true middle school model, realigning our attendance boundaries, and that total investment is just under $400 million. As part of that investment, we did plan for a working cash bond issue in conjunction with the referendum bonds that we will talk about shortly. And just as a reminder, the difference between referendum and non-referendum debt is shown here. Referendum debt requires a ballot question, as you are familiar with from our 2023 successful referendum. And the non-referendum debt, specifically the working cash bonds, is allocated to every district based on their bonds outstanding back in, I think it's 1994, thank you. So we'll use the referendum debt to finalize the Unite U-46 large projects, but we also will plan to use working cash bonds if the board approves that. Again, just our three funding sources. Building bonds are the referendum bonds. Working cash fund bonds is like a savings account that may be transferred to other funds, and cash reserves. Our funding strategy is balanced and responsible, For the Unite U-46 bonds, we had 179 million in referendum bonds, roughly 100 million in capital reserves were used, and then the last piece will be the roughly 32 million in working cash bonds that Ms. Hennessy will talk about shortly. Now, this slide is pulled directly from the presentation that will be associated with the next agenda item, but I did want to touch on it. As you can see from the black line that is increasing slightly over time, that is the debt service extension maximum. And if you look at the yellow bars, well, they're kind of orange on the screens up here, but if you look at the yellowish orange bars, those are the working cash bonds that we are proposing the board issue in conjunction with the last portion of referendum bonds this year. Then, if you look at the slide, you can see a circle in the fourth bar, or the fourth column, I should say. That shows you where we will again have room to issue working cash bonds while still maintaining a stable tax rate to help finish off some of the other projects that are planned. We have additional improvements that are planned for Teth, Canton, and Eastview, as well as secure entrances that need to occur at some of the elementary sites, and as well as Elgin High School. So these are some of the other projects that can be funded through these working cash bonds. Again, the debt service extension base is roughly 10.2 million, and this is where you can continue to issue bonds over the next few years without increasing the taxpayer's debt payment. So as I close, I just want to speak again about the next phase. We're talking about modernizing the remaining middle schools, Elgin High School, preparing for the IB program, adding secure entrances to several elementary sites as well, and all of this can occur with the issuance of working cash bonds. So with that, I'll close, and I will we'll take your questions. And Sheila, if they have any questions for you, you may have.
Thank you all for the presentation. Do board members have questions? Sue?
I'm going to go back to enrollment. We're seeing a lot of, some growth over in the South Elgin area. Is that impacting the schools over there? I noticed Willard increased in population slightly.
Yeah, I mean, when we redrew the boundaries, we certainly took all those new housing starts into account. And you're right, there are pockets where we're maintaining enrollment better than others, and that is helping. I will say, compared to some neighboring districts, we don't have nearly the volume of new housing developments that, say, District 300 or 301 or something out further west, where there's a lot more room to grow. And that certainly has been impacting us as well.
Yeah, I think we're running out of room for new developments, so.
That's true.
And my other question was, you mentioned you were keeping track, we had a fewer new students coming in. Are we seeing fewer students, or are we looking at the kids who were enrolled last year who aren't enrolled again this year to try to figure out what's going on with them?
We are, and the interesting part is we have somewhere between 5 and 10% mobility every year, as do most districts. And it looks like we lost about the same number of students that we did a year ago. We did not gain as many, which is interesting. So we didn't have as many kids move into our district, and that impacted things some. But the main driver really was we had about 2,800 seniors graduate last year, and our kindergarten class this year is less than 2,100.
Yeah.
So if we're down by 1,100, 700 and change is just a big class leaving and a small class coming in.
Yeah, okay.
So that's the bulk of it, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? No? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item.
Thank you, President Owens. Our second strategic plan report tonight is the Unite U-46 funding update. Dr. Ann Williams, Deputy Superintendent of Operations, and Elizabeth Hennessy, Managing Director of Raymond James, will provide the Board of Education with a Unite U-46 funding update.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. Just getting the slides up. Thank you, Dr. Williams.
I think it's magic because I didn't do anything, but it's not on the screen.
Just disappeared. There we go. Great. All right, well, nice to see you all. Thank you for having me. We're going to start with a market update. So the themes for this market is volatility. We've had very big supply this year. If you look at the graph on the top, we see that long-term issuance trends are really increasing. This shows month by month, the years since 21 up to 25, and lots of bond issuance. The graph on the bottom shows demand, and when the green bars are going up, that means there are more investors buying bonds, and when the red bars going down show that there are more bond sellers. So we are benefiting, if you look at the very far right, from those positive demand from investors for municipal bonds. Let's go to the next slide. If we look at historical rates, the dark blue line shows the 30-year average on each point of the yield curve. So just to familiarize you with this graph, on the y-axis we have the tax-exempt interest rate or yield, and on the x-axis we have the year to maturity going out to 30 years. So the dark line again represents the 30-year average on each point of this graph. The red line is where we are now. Last year when we looked at this graph, short-term rates were much more elevated. They have come down substantially over the last several months, with the Fed lowering rates and discussing lowering them another time or two before the end of the year. So you can see even the red line dips below the blue line in the first 15 years. So that's really good news for rates in those years are below the 30-year average, and then going out on the yield curve, we're about at the same point as the 30-year. So here's the MMD changes from January 1 of 25 through October 3rd of 25. MMD stands for Municipal Market Data Index, and that's the average interest rate on municipal bonds. So the trend, again, short-term rates have come down substantially. After the Fed raised rates to try to stop inflation, they're now coming down. So we're benefiting from that. And then, but the longer term, we've seen longer term rates go up. So that is because of the tariffs and the expectation for some of the higher prices coming in the future as those tariffs actually get implemented and start impacting prices more. This graph also shows the impact of market and economic events between 23 and 25. The black line on the top is the 30-year municipal market data index, and the light blue line on the bottom is the 1 year. So you can see the impacts that we've experienced, especially if we look at the 30-year. You can see how some of these tariffs have pushed longer term rates up, but at the same time, the light blue line shows the short-term rates coming down. Now, tariffs are pushing rates up, but we are in a shutdown, a governmental shutdown right now. That's bad news. Things are slowing down. That's good for the bond market. Investors are moving towards buying U.S. Treasury bonds, which is the gold standard, and that impacts our municipal market as well. So investors going towards fixed income increases demand and lowers rates there. So even though this is a horrible thing for our government, it is causing interest rates to go down. And then lastly, here's the historical Treasury rates. The dark blue line again is that 20-year average. The red bar is the rates where they are today for U.S. Treasury bonds, which the district invests in. So again, the good news for you is you're earning higher returns on your investments than the 20-year average on U.S. Treasury bonds. Okay, so let's move on to outstanding debt. The district has a statutory debt limit that is 13.8% of the equalized assessed value. So your debt limit is very large, just under $1 billion. You have $233.9 million outstanding, and now a net debt limit of $765 million. So really huge debt limit. Let's go to the next page. Now we're going to look at the 6 bond issues the district has outstanding. And the first 2, starting on the left, the 2025, are the referendum bonds we issued last year that generated $60 million of the $179 million authorization towards your projects. The year before, we issued $62 million. That was the Series 24. The Series 2023B are refunding of the 2015D referendum bonds. So those are at very low rates. If we go to the next page, the 21A bonds are refunding of the 2015A bonds. Those are limited bonds, subject to that debt service extension base Dr. Williams was talking about earlier. Then the 21 bonds, those are have one last payment. Those will be paid off as of January 2nd. And then the taxable geo-limited refunding school bonds, 3 more years on those payments. Again, those are subject to that debt service extension base and refunded the 2011A. So soon to be 5 bonds outstanding. Next, we're going to go to the 5 financing options. And let's just get back to Unite 46, Unite U-46, and look at all that you've accomplished so far. Hawk Hollow opened this July, so that's complete. And of course, that was funded before the Unite 46 plan. And then the projects is the new middle school, Kimball Middle School Addition, Kenyon Woods Middle School Addition, the new elementary school, Glenbrook Elementary School, Century Oaks Elementary School, and another elementary school, which is a conversion of the pre-K center. So all these projects together total $365 million to $380 million. We also have the estimated completion date. So this amazing, ambitious plan is really coming to life, and it's very exciting to see. Let's go to the next. So originally, the district was going to fund 47% of this plan with referendum bonds and 26% with district funds, fund balance. At that time, the non-referendum bond piece was made up of the 32 million working cash bonds we're going to be talking about tonight, as well as 70 million of debt certificates. As we moved through the plan, the board decided to use more of its funds and forego the debt certificate piece. So the current plan is district funds of 45%, and then non-referendum working cash bonds make up only 8%, and again, referendum bonds still at 47%. So here is the graph that Dr. Williams started with. It's always good to look at this more than once because there's a lot going on. The various shades of green represent the referendum approved bonds up to the 179 million. And again, we're looking at the last tranche of those, 57 million, this issuing in this cycle. So the other part is the yellowy orange bars, which are the 32 million working cash bonds. Those are below that line, which represents the limit on the payments of non-referendum bonds. It's called the debt service extension base, part of the tax cap, going back to the year 1994 when tax caps came to Cook County, but it set forth this law that said you can go ahead and issue bonds as long as the payments don't exceed what you paid in the year 1994. So by fitting these bonds in, we're staying under that limit. There is a CPI factor applied to it, but you also see in the circle, that's where the bars drop down. That's at 2028 levy year when you have the opportunity to issue more bonds as needed. Let's go to the next page. Here's the color coding of the bars you just saw. The orange is a repayment of the 32 million working cash bonds, and that's going to be paid back in 10 years. But importantly, there's a drop in those payments in levy year 28 to allow another issuance. If we look under the referendum debt service, those 3 green bars shading plus the currently outstanding referendum bars, you'll see that those together, plus the non-referendum, keep the debt service right at that $32,495,000. That's the level debt service. Those payments are not going up, consistent with a promise to the taxpayers at the time the referendum was approved. So it includes not only referendum debt service, but non-referendum debt service, no tax increase. Okay. So just to review the referendum financing plan, more than 45% of the needs have been financed through reserves, district funds. The referendum financing plan maintains the no debt service tax increase promise, and the future capacity under the debt service extension base, that refers to the district's ability to issue additional working cash bonds in levy year 28. So if we were to use today's interest rates plus a cushion, in 2028 you could issue $44 million, pay it back over 10 years, and use that $44 million for additional capital needs at that time. So let me just see if there's any questions on debt structure before we move to method of sale.
Are there any questions board members want to ask? Okay. Sue?
So I was assumed the bonds would be paid over 20 years, but actually they're not. It's much quicker.
Correct.
Okay, and looking at the first 2024, when we've already paid off 9 million of it?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Great. And just along those lines, we recommend that those non-referendum bonds stay around 10 years because it gives future boards more capacity to continue to issue them and keeps the interest costs lower. So now we're going to talk about method of sale. In the last two bond issues, the district has sold the first two tranches of referendum bonds via a negotiated sale. Negotiated sales are appropriate when the issuer wants to make bonds available to the local community. And just coming off the referendum, that was a real priority to make sure that they were available and that community members could just go down the street to a brokerage office and buy those bonds if they wanted to. So we went through our RFP process, we had a great team, and we did accomplish that goal. Negotiated sales are also appropriate for issuers with credit ratings less than AA, who are infrequent issuers, or bond insurance is unavailable, or the debt structure is complicated, or the district wants to have input on how bonds are allocated among firms participating in the sale. A competitive sale is appropriate when the issuer has a strong credit rating, AA category or better, general obligation bonds, which are full faith and credit obligations, where the debt structure does not include any special features that would require extensive explanations, and when you're a frequent issuer in the market, which you kind of are after these last few years. So also, given the district's credit rating upgrade of AA+, which again, congratulations, you are just one notch from the gold standard AAA, that makes bonds available, that makes bonds very attractive to investors, and that's why a competitive sale, I think, would serve the district very well this time, as opposed to a negotiated sale. District has issued bonds in both methods, both negotiated and competitive over the years, because again, we are a frequent issuer now, and we have this very, very strong bond rating. We are recommending going for a competitive sale for this issue, and that's the difference again is where when you do a negotiated sale, you have a team of underwriters already hired. In this case, we have underwriters bidding against each other to be awarded your bonds, and it's on an electronic platform, and the district will take the lowest bid at that time. Okay. And then the timeline we're suggesting is tonight we're talking about the funding plan, including the third tranche of referendum bonds and the non-referendum working cash sale, method of sale. So then on November 3rd, we would bring to you a resolution of intent which authorizes the issue of those working cash bonds. It's an authorizing resolution, and once approved, we would publish a notice of intent in the local newspaper. That begins a 30-day petition period. If within those 30 days, 10% of the registered voters submit a petition, that would require the working cash bonds to go to referendum at the next election. Also required is a public hearing. That would be scheduled for your December 15th meeting. Then the petition period expires December 5th. We have a rating meeting scheduled for December 11th to renew the bond rating. And then on January 12th, we would have the district consider the parameters bond resolution which authorizes the sale of bonds within certain parameters with no further action of the board, but subject to the approval, final approval by the deputy superintendent and treasurer and the board president, who are named as board delegates in that resolution. So from there, we would sign all those closing documents, close on February 3rd. There's one last thing on the February 9th meeting. Because the non-referendum bonds are working cash, the board would approve a resolution moving those working cash bond proceeds from the working cash fund to Fund 60, the capital projects fund, so they could be spent on the projects. Questions?
Sue?
So in general, a competitive sale of bonds should give us a better interest rate than a negotiated sale?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. There are
Okay.
studies on this.
Oh, okay.
And in, volatile times, the negotiated sale can serve you better. A competitive sale, if we have something crazy happen in the economy that causes the day we plan to go to market to not be attractive for investors to bid, we can cancel the sale. But in a negotiated sale, you have more flexibility. If you have something like that happen, you can just hold back and not go to market and go the next week. So it's a little bit more complicated, and that's why negotiated, if we're really in a volatile time, works a bit better. But assuming smooth sailing in January, we should be well served by a competitive sale. So I can't say yes, competitive sales are always lower than negotiated sales. It just depends on the market conditions at the time.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? Okay,
Thank you.
Thanks.
thank you. Okay, the next item on our agenda is comments from the audience.
We have no public comments this evening.
Okay, thank you. That moves us to other business, board member and superintendent update. Do board members have any updates to share? Dr. Johnson, did you have anything to share?
I want to share just a couple of thank yous this evening. So first, I want to send a thank you to our transportation department, transportation team for all of their work to, of course, support our efforts to bring our students to school every day to make it the greatest day it can be for learning, and then return them home. And not only those routes that we all think of, but all of our field trips, all of our activities, all of our athletic programming. So a tremendous thank you to our transportation team. Appreciate you, and we'll be celebrating and honoring your work this week. And I also want to thank our operations team. So thank you so much for being here tonight, for providing the review of all of your work. It's exciting to certainly be able to see the spaces being utilized by our students and by our colleagues across the district. So I'm always very proud to be part of that work and to get to see that happen and to hear that from our students and our families and our team members as well. Thank you so very much. Really appreciate all of that effort, and I know it was really enjoyable to see some of those photos tonight. And we'll continue to get out to see those sites, and looking forward to our work ahead, because I know the stats for this year are already accumulating, so can't wait. Thank you so much for all your work.
Okay, the next item is FOIA request, Dr. Johnson.
This evening, we have 20 Freedom of Information Act requests available on the public domain of board docs, and those requests will also be moved to the School District U-46 website later this week.
Okay, next item is the report to membership, 2025 IASB Delegate Assembly. You all have the report in your board packet. I actually have a printed copy here if anybody's interested in looking at that. I have done a review myself of all of the changes in the Constitution, which is the bulk of what a delegate would be voting on this time around at the Delegate Assembly in November. And then also reviewed the one resolution on school bus safety funding. I know that administration and Dr. Johnson have also looked at both the Constitution changes and the resolution itself, and I understand that there are no concerns from an administrative standpoint on either of these items. We do need to direct our delegate to vote not just on the referendum on the resolution for the school bus safety funding, but also for each individual change in the articles of the Constitution. The one item that I kind of looked over a little bit more closely than the others was their item 2, Article 3. This is the Delegate Assembly section. They are discussing or wanting to explore making a change to how delegates vote at the Delegate Assembly, which is a little bit interesting to me because it seems like they're driving toward more of a remote voting option rather than delegates in session. I think part of that is to open up the voting to more members that aren't able to attend the Delegate Assembly, but it also, I think, changes the concept of the Delegate Assembly itself. So, that's the one item I think where there's a little bit more than just language clarifications and kind of condensing some of the language within the document itself. Does anybody have any specific questions that they have come up with as they reviewed? Dawn?
So I had 2 items. So I agree, I had some concerns on section 2. Having done the delegate assembly a couple of years, I'm sorry, yes, Article 3.
Item 2, yeah.
Yeah, item 2, which is Article 3, section 2. Get that as confusing as possible. Having done it, I think, given the way it's set up and the conversations that are had, I'm not a big fan of there being a remote option. However, part of my concern on this, when I was reading it, it seemed that their thing is like, well, people can't attend. I kind of looked around online. Some people cite cost. IASB could actually look at other ways to be able, people can attend just the delegate assembly without having to register for the whole conference. Like, there's other ways also around the cost that IASB could look at versus going to a remote option, because my guess is that even going remote, they're still going to be charging districts to vote and attend. So I did have concerns on that one. I didn't love the change, but I'm whatever the board decides. I also looked at the school bus resolution, and I'm trying to find the actual information.
Page 17.
Thank you. Yeah. So I like the idea of it, but when I look at the numbers like 1, 2, 3, and 4, I actually have a lot of concern with the idea of trying to get the state to set up a grant program to fund this. We have so many mandates that are unfunded. One, I don't think they're ever going to set up funding for just one of the million mandates. I think it's like 300 mandates that aren't funded. I like 2, 3, and 4. So I'm not sold I would support this with 1 through 4 in it. Personally, I think it works better with just 2, 3, and 4 and not trying to get the state to fund a mandate that I don't think they're going to fund anyway. But again, like whatever the board conversation is, like I would support the board, but that's, just looking at it, I was kind of surprised that IASB was okay with them asking for funding, just giving big picture funding issues with the state and just all of the mandates that go unfunded.
Are there any other board members that have concerns with either those two items or any of the other items within the report? Kate?
Yeah, I don't know that I have anything too much more to add than kind of what Dawn was saying and what you said about the delegate assembly, like having been the delegate 2 years, 3 years, I can't even remember now. Like each year I did it, it got a little bit better, but like the first meeting that I went to, it almost felt like a free-for-all, right? Because it was just, so I'm not in favor of them trying to like make it harder for people to attend, but kind of streamlining it and making it better. Plus, whoever is the delegate doesn't get to attend sessions that morning, which is certainly workable within the group, but I don't know. I don't know that I have a specific point, other than the present system is challenging, but Zoom would be challenging as well, or remote or whatever.
Okay. Anyone else? No, I agree. I mean, I was a delegate for a couple of years. It just happened to be on those couple of years, there were some volatile issues that were in front of the delegate assembly, and those delegate assemblies went long. And it can be a fairly, it was a fairly tedious process at that point. Although, you know, the other side to that is that it gave the opportunity for districts to make their point about the resolution that was, you know, up for a vote. So I'm not sure how with an email voting system or remote, you know, even Zoom, I'm not sure how that kind of conversation can take place. Dawn?
Yeah, and to, you know, kind of on top of that, I mean, if you're a school that's bringing forward a resolution, I mean, I almost feel like remote shouldn't be an option in that situation, so that you can present, I mean, it's just easier, especially if the bulk of the delegates would still be in person. So I don't, yeah, like that's just another piece to the.
There was one year where we did it, and it was actually really nice. They had like 2 sessions, one was in an evening, one was in an afternoon, where you could just hop on a Zoom, and they must have spent, I don't know, 45 minutes or an hour, and each district got to say, here's our resolution, and here's why we're gonna do it. And it was super helpful because it was several weeks in advance. So I was able to pull that information back and come back to you all and be like, hey, I think this one, or I think that one. So certainly if they go back to that sort of thing, then maybe the voting doesn't happen, but some of that discussion happened in advance. It was very nice. Because I think some of the school districts even had like a slide or two that they popped up that helped define their resolution a little better.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got, out of the 11 different items that we have to vote on, we've got 2 that have some concerns, but unless I hear from 2 more board members, it seems as though the majority would hold in approving those 2 items. Is that the case? Okay. So that would be the board majority then of voting in the affirmative for all 11 of those items. We do need to pick a delegate. Dawn has been the most recent delegate. Is there somebody that is willing to step up into that role? Thank you, Ms. Kerr. Oh, you've never done it? Oh, okay. Okay, so you are clear on your voting on behalf of the board, so thank you very much. And yeah, and we will look forward to hearing how it goes later on that day. Thank you. All right, and that will bring us to consent agenda.
Thank you, President Owens. This evening on consent agenda, we have personnel report and workers' compensation cases. Minutes of board meeting, August 4th, 2025. Termination of Mark C. Taylor, bus driver. Termination of Raul P. Vargas, bus driver. Resolution for the disposal of surplus personal property, warehouse books. Resolution for the disposal of surplus personal property, furniture. Resolution for the disposal of surplus personal property, middle school cafe tables or cafeteria tables. Resolution for the disposal of surplus personal property, IS equipment. Proposal, Culture and Climate, Illinois Virtual Schools and Academy. Proposal, K-12 Science and Planetarium, Habitat Restoration to support curriculum. Bid, Curriculum and Instruction, Kidham Odell Education Consumables. Contract renewal, Curriculum and Instruction, Benchmark Education License. Contract Curriculum and Instruction, Learning Ally. Contract renewal, Food and Nutrition Services, Heartland Payment Systems, MCS My School Apps. And change order, Plant Operations, Elgin High School Primary Overhead Electrical Service Replacement, Project number 242.
Are there any items that board members would like removed from the consent agenda? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as read into the record?
So moved?
Second?
Roll call, please.
Ms. Kerr?
Yes.
Ms. Khan?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Ms. Nolan?
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
President Owens?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Next item is discussion action. Dr. Johnson.
Our first item, itemized bills for October 20th, 2025. Robin Cornelison, Executive Director of Financial Services, will respond to questions from the Board of Education regarding the attached bills. Administration recommends the Board of Education approve the list of bills in the amount of $47,397,196.95.
May I have a motion to approve the list of bills in the amount of $47,397,196.95?
So moved.
Second?
Any questions or discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Ms. Kerr?
Yes.
Ms. Khan?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Ms. Nolan?
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
President Owens?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next item, board policy updates. Tricia Olson, Chief Legal Officer, will present proposed changes to the following board policies. Administration recommends adoption of the proposed changes.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to be back before the board to discuss policies, and I double-checked the numbers this time, and I will go through all of them in order. I'm proposing to adopt changes to 1:10 regarding school district legal status as described at the previous meeting. Same with 1:20, a change to the district organization, operations, and cooperative agreements. I'm proposing to adopt, that the board adopt 1:30 regarding school district philosophy, 2:10 regarding school district governance, 2:80 regarding board member oath and code of conduct as it is presented and as the board has previously adopted, 2:130, which is the board superintendent relationship, 2:240, which is the board policy development, 3:30 regarding chain of command, 4:50 payment procedures, 4:55 use of credit and procurement cards, 4:90 student activity and fiduciary funds, 4:180 addressing pandemic preparedness, management, and recovery as it is provided, 5:270 addressing employment at will, compensation, and assignment, 7:40 addressing non-public school students, including parochial and homeschool students, 7:90 addressing release during school hours as provided during the last meeting, board policy 7:130 addressing student rights and responsibilities, board policy 7:140 addressing search and seizure as we aligned with press previously, board policy 7:300 as provided during the previous board meeting, board policy 7:325 addressing student fundraising activities, board policy 8:80 addressing gifts to the district, Board Policy 8:110, addressing public suggestions and concerns.
I'm going to read the motion into the record, and then if we have any questions on any of those policies, we can address them at that time. So may I have a motion to approve the board policies as read into the record and represented in IASB Press Issue 119?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any questions? Okay, roll call, please.
Ms. Kerr?
Yes.
Ms. Khan?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Ms. Nolan?
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
President Owens?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you so much.
Okay, we have the next item is the approval of closed session minutes. So I will need a motion to request and respond to the need for confidentiality, which still exists for all or part of closed session minutes, and therefore all closed session minutes, with the exception of minutes already released, including audio recordings, remain confidential. In addition, I'm sorry, I should read all of those before I do that, shouldn't I? I should read these?
Yes, please.
Okay, I apologize, let me start over again. The following closed session minutes have been reviewed for approval. Minutes for approval, October 2025. This is the list of closed session minutes that have been approved and reviewed. March 10th and 24th, 2025, April 14th and 28th, 2025, May 5th and 19th, 2025, June 2nd, June 9th, and June 16th, 2025, and July 21st, 2025. So the need for confidentiality still exists as to all or parts of these closed session minutes, and therefore all closed session minutes, with the exception of minutes already released, including audio recordings, remain confidential. In addition, all audio recordings more than 18 months old, having been put to writing and approved, may be destroyed. The list of audio to be destroyed on October of 2025 includes November 20th, 2023, December 4th, December 11th, and December 18th, 2023, January 20th and 22nd, 2024, February 5th and 26th, 2024, March 4th, March 11th, and March 18th, 2024, and April 8th and 15th, 2024. I need a motion.
So
for
moved.
that. Thank you.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Ms. Kerr?
Yes.
Ms. Khan?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Ms. Nolan?
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
President Owens?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Our next item, middle school physical education health curriculum proposal. Celia Banks, Director of Curriculum and Instruction, and Mary Javingo, Student Wellness Teacher Leader, will be available to answer questions relating to the middle school physical education health curriculum proposal. Administration recommends approval of the middle school physical education health curriculum proposal in the amount of $65,512.88 and requests authorization for district administration to execute related documents. This expenditure will be charged to the education fund. The cost is included in the budget for the 2025-2026 fiscal year.
May I have a motion to approve the middle school physical education health curriculum proposal in the amount of $65,512.88 and grant authorization for district administration to execute related documents?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion or questions? Okay, roll call, please.
Ms. Kerr?
Yes.
Ms. Khan?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Ms. Nolan?
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
President Owens?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Our next item, Proposal Information Services Chat GPT Edu. Lola Majstorovich, Deputy Superintendent of Instruction, Rola Tariq Mohammed, Coordinator of Strategic Initiatives, are available for questions from the Board of Education. Administration recommends approval of the contract with Chat GPT Edu in the amount of $0 and requests authorization for district administration to execute related documents. Participation in this program comes at no cost to the district and provides secure access to Chat GPT Edu for U-46 staff who opt in and successfully complete the required AI Canvas course prior to receiving access.
May I have a motion to approve the contract with ChatGPT EDU in the amount of $0 and grant authorization for district administration to execute related documents?
So moved.
Second.
I believe that we have some comments from some board members, so I'm going to try my best to let everybody at least ask a question or make a comment first, and then we can, if there's additional questions, we can go back. But I want to make sure that I give everybody adequate time and space to be able to make those comments or questions. So I can start with Sumrine. Did you have anything to add?
Not beyond what I shared with you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Sue?
So I do support this. I understand the concern about GPT, and I think events of today with the internet failing in half the world is probably illustrates that things are not perfect yet. But I do believe that this will give, I think we will have teachers who are going to use it regardless of whether we approve this. More and more people are familiar with it. Probably a lot of our high school kids are more familiar certainly than I am. So I think we're going to see more and more of it, and I think this gives us a little bit of control and gives people some guidance. I would like to see a report in a year or so to see what people have done, to see specific examples of how it's been used for classrooms and development of curriculum. So if we could have that, that would be great.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
Kate?
I also am going to vote in support of this. It was a lot of back and forth decisions because I think there's a lot of really valid points in terms of the amount of energy that it uses and concerns about safety, but its value is there, and if folks are going to be using it, as Ms. Kerr said, I used it today actually to get a list of questions so that I could work with some of my clients. So I definitely think that it has its value. I'd actually like to kind of up Ms. Kerr's request. I'd rather you come back maybe every other month and maybe bring some of the teachers that we might not normally hear from. Not the teachers that are, well, I don't know what the right words I'm looking for, but bring in some teachers and say, here's how I've used it and here's how it was beneficial. And then as we were talking over the weekend too, is reminded that teachers already are taking lesson plans from each other, right? We do it all the time. They go to websites like Teachers Pay Teachers, or they go to PBS and they print out that lesson plan. So hopefully what we're doing here is really just adding another tool in the toolbox of our teachers whom, we trust. They know what they're doing. They're the experts. Let's make sure we give them all the tools that we can.
Shonda?
I have some notes. So I am going to support this. I'm going to note that I'm supporting it for this proposal. Adding to what Ms. Kerr and Ms. Thomas already said, I would love to have, different teachers, different people from different departments, maybe even various grade levels coming to the board, giving more specifics on how they're using it. I hope that with this pilot and with being able to use it for 13 months, we'll see the value and the return on investment, not just for staff and teachers, but I'd like to see how it affects student outcomes and what are students seeing that, because I believe that it's noted that whenever a teacher or staff member uses it, they have to put that notation that they're using ChatGPT as you. So any way that we can see that, as well as, I know I made a comment at the last board meeting about ensuring compliance, making sure that people aren't entering in those PPIs. I would like to see data on how that goes and just what's the resolution if maybe people just need more clarification. I did do the training. I'm going to admit that I felt the training was a little bit light. So I would, I would like to see a little bit more robust training, maybe even advanced training, as it's being used more throughout the year. And I think that's all I have. So thank you.
Dawn?
I wrote notes. It's not like me. So I'm going to start by thanking all of our staff for all the work that has been going on in this project. I think it's since summer. We've seen a proposal come forward several times. I greatly appreciate all the adjustments that have been made, listening to our questions, giving us access to the training. Regardless of how any board member votes. I can't say enough about really all of our staff and administration, because this is the type of back and forth and work we do on all of our projects. So I just want to make sure that everyone understands I greatly appreciate that, especially on this topic. However, I am continuing to vote no. I can see the benefits of AI. You can look, you can read about them. I don't personally use it, that's my choice. Definitely have had some interesting conversations with people about the use of AI. However, I cannot in good faith move past the cons, the biases, some of the ethics issues, the environmental issues. It's so easy to get on the internet and you can see two people discussing a subject. Both of them will source AI and it's two totally different sides for the same subject. I just don't think AI is trustworthy enough for our public education system. I think education about AI is still really important, and I look forward to seeing how that rolls out, either with additional training and how we roll out AI education for students. I also do look forward to the information that comes forward over the 13 months. We have the software to see kind of how it's being used. But yeah, so my vote's no, but thank you.
Veronica? Good. Okay. And I want to thank all of the board members, because I've had discussions, whether through phone call or text, in discussing this item. And then also extending my thanks to administration for, again, as my, other board members have said, for listening to us, for, continuously trying to bring this back and, and work through the concerns and the questions that we've had. I'm a hesitant yes on this, and it's probably one of the more hesitant yeses that I think I've given in my career on the school board. I'm kind of hinging this on the fact that I recognize that we are availing our staff of a system that is FERPA compliant, which is really important, especially considering that people are probably using this anyway in an environment that is not FERPA compliant, and that isn't, part of that walled off garden that we would have internally. And so I think that if we're going to explore this possibility, then having that environment is really important. And I'm hoping that we can use this opportunity to go beyond, what a lot of people can think of as a tool or a shortcut to make things easier, and really look and develop ways that we can, drive towards an educational system that is really grounded still in equity and innovation, and use this as a mechanism to get us closer to that. I also would like to have additional information presented to us and kind of work through that on an ongoing basis. What I'm really looking at is making sure that we are driving toward being able to design curriculum that is really impactful for our students, and making sure that what we're doing is centered on student achievement, student growth, and making sure that we have that information available to us. I do also, and maybe this is because of my background in environmental science, I want to call out the fact that even while this is a free system right now, and while we have free licenses to work with, there are so many external costs to this that the use of this is not free. And I'm sorry, I don't know why my watch is, I had a timer that I didn't realize I had. I apologize. The costs of this are not necessarily free on society, right? We know that electricity prices have gone up this past year. Citizens Utility Board estimates they're going to go up again next year. A lot of that is because of the capacity demands that keep being placed on the system. And a lot of that capacity demand is coming from data centers. So we know that, right? It's not our problem to solve. That's not something that we created. But I think it means that we have to be very intentional and very responsible about how we are using this and why we are using this. Because we're not paying for it right now, but everybody collectively is paying for that, right? There are concerns about land use and water use, and I think that we need to make sure that we are, again, using the system responsibly so that we put the least amount of pressure on the environment and on our consumers and our community going forward. And again, I thank the administration for walking this through with us. Okay, anybody else? Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, the motion is on the table to, oh, Donvi?
Did you want to say something, Don B?
I was thinking that while it is important that the district kind of focuses on educating teachers and leaders within the district about the use of AI, I don't think it's ethically conscious, and while it is useful for students and for educators to use to create these lesson plans, I don't think it's a cost that people are considering right now that future students will have to pay for, as they are, if they are educated by AI, the environmental consequences are something that they will have to face in the future. So I think it is important that the district consider the integrity of going through with this and how AI does affect the environment and people across the world.
Thank you, appreciate that. And we can take the roll call.
Ms. Kerr?
Yes.
Ms. Khan?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
No.
Ms. Nolan?
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
President Owens?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is work session resolutions.
Our item this evening, resolution authorizing the naming of the new Elgin Middle School to Legacy Middle School. Brian Lindholm, Chief of Staff, will respond to questions from the Board of Education. Administration recommends the Board of Education adopt the resolution authorizing the naming of the new Elgin Middle School to Legacy Middle School.
So, Mr. Lindholm, I know that you presented the naming of Legacy Middle School in the presentation previously this evening. Did you have anything else that you wanted to add to this resolution, or I can just open it up to questions?
Yeah, I don't think I really have anything
Okay.
additional to add, President Owens.
Does anyone have any questions directed to Mr. Lindholm on the resolution? Kate?
I don't know if I have a question so much as a statement. One is like, thank you to our community for coming up with such thoughtful options, right? Everyone seemed to have really good reasons. I really enjoyed the young students who are really trying to get us to go with Enrique Ferme. That's really great to see. Of course, I really like the RBG. All of those are really great. And when I first saw that you were going to do Legacy, I was actually taken aback because I was looking forward to naming it after a person, one of the option names. But as I went back and read more of it and realized that this would actually be a way to honor multiple people within U-46, I was very excited about that. I've had people from the Ellis community and the Abbott community reach out that they don't want those names to be lost. So I'm appreciative of the fact that we're going to be able to put those in Legacy, plus the number of the folks, some who have passed away recently in the last 3 or 4 years, who all deserve to have their legacy noted. So I just want to make sure that we keep moving forward with the process to name the library after one of them, to name the gym after one of them, the auditorium after another. So, yeah, you converged me. I'm on board now.
Great, thank you.
Anyone else, Sue?
And I guess I felt the same way initially because I thought, that's an interesting name. But then I read more about it and thought about it and realized we could, as Kate said, we could really honor more people. And I know one of my favorite things when I visit Elgin High School is visiting their, is it the Hall of Fame that they have? And you can see all of their great graduates and what they've done. And I think that's inspiring for the kids. So this should be great.
Great, thank you.
Anyone else, Dawn?
So yeah, I agree with both Ms. Thomas and Ms. Kerr. It's page 14 of the document you shared where you went into just a list of people, either names we've used for buildings, just various people in our district that it's a chance for us to recognize. It was literally that page in the document that sold me on the Legacy name. And I just want to thank all the community members who submitted, so.
Anyone else? I had the exact same reaction to as Kate. The first time that I heard it, it took me a little bit to think through it. But I agree that it's a great opportunity to, to elevate a lot of, with the district as large as we have and the amount of time that has gone by, right? We have so many people that have had an outsized impact on the community and on, middle school in Elgin itself, that this is a great way to be able to honor all of those people and not have to pick and choose, right? So I think that this is a really unique idea to be able to do that, so thank you. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is
Do we
work
have to
session
vote on
bids.
this?
Oh, I'm sorry?
Do we vote? Next meeting we vote, okay.
Next meeting we'll vote
All
on
right,
this,
thank
yeah. Next item, work session bids and proposals.
Our first item, bid, Operations Unite U-46 Century Oaks Elementary School. Dr. Ann Williams, Deputy Superintendent of Operations, and Brian Lindholm, Chief of Staff, will present the attached proposal summary and will respond to questions from the Board of Education. Administration recommends award to the lowest responsible bidders regarding the bid packages listed below in the total amount of $22,128,425 and requests authorization for district administration to execute related documents. I'm going to read all of the bid packages, the contractor, and the base bid amount. Bid package 001 USD LLC, $647,000. Bid package 002 King County Excavating, $2,400,500. Bid package 003 Parkway Forming, $863,600. Bid package 004 Jimmy's Masonry Corporation, $3,087,000. Bid package 005 McKinney Steel and Sales Incorporated, $1,118,225. Bid package 006 Metal Master Roof Master, $1,990,000. Bid package 007 Manusos General Contracting, $2,707,000 and $2,707,037. Bid package 008 Prime Architectural Metal and Glass Incorporated, $749,000. Bid package 009 Asher Brothers, $210,000. Bid package 010 Diversify, $671,220. Bid package 011 Hargrave Builders Incorporated, $1,628,450. Bid package 012 SJ Carlson Fire Protection, $400,800. Bid package 013 Best Plumbing Incorporated, $918,700. Bid package 014 Commercial Mechanical Incorporated, $3,958,000. Bid package 015 pending separate award to be determined. Bid package 016 Landworks Limited, $384,788. And bid package 017 AccuPaving Company, $394,105. This expenditure will be charged to the Capital Projects Fund. The cost is included in the budget for the 2025-2026 through 2026-2027 fiscal years.
Do board members have any questions? Dawn?
So what was bid package 15? 15, and why is it pending a separate award?
It was pending a separate award because there were additional questions that we had to respond to via addenda.
Okay.
And so that one will be coming at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Kate?
I don't really have a question, more just a comment. I was scrolling through and I was looking at what towns all of the contractors we chose from, and was just super pleased to see a lot of them are from the U-46 community. And even the ones that aren't are awfully darn close, you know, Schaumburg, Itasca, so they're still kind of part of our area. And I just appreciate the fact that we were able to do that.
And I think it's worth noting that we had 76 bids received.
Wow.
So we picked, I shouldn't say we picked, the low bidder, the low
Right.
responsible bidder ended up being those close to us, but out of 76 for this particular.
Yeah, but it says a lot for Elgin and for U-46 that we had so many people who were local who wanted to bid. Even some of the ones that we said no to still were very local, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Several of the selected bidders are also working on some of our current projects, and we've been very happy with them, so we were glad to see them back bidding on this one.
Anyone else? Okay. Next item.
Our next item is a bid, Operations Unite U-46, Glenbrook Elementary School. Dr. Williams and Brian Lindholm remain at the dais to present the attached proposal summary and respond to questions from the Board of Education. Administration recommends award to the lowest responsible bidders regarding the bid packages listed below in the total amount of $17,610,503 and requests authorization for district administration to execute related documents. Again, I'm going to read all of the bid packages into record. Bid package 001 USD LLC, $429,000. Bid package 002 Alessio and Sons Company, $1,883,380. Bid package 003 Builders Concrete Incorporated, $463,375. Bid package 004 J&E Duff Incorporated, $2,326,000. Bid package 005 Steel Management Incorporated, $569,000. Bid package 006 Metal Master Roof Master Incorporated, $727,490. Bid package 007 Joseph Construction Company, $1,752,000. Bid package 008 3F Corporation, $898,000. Bid package 009 Cosgrove Construction Incorporated, $267,250. Bid package 010 TSI Commercial Floor Covering Incorporated, $728,453. Bid package 011 Hargrave Builders Incorporated, $1,825,450. Bid package 012 Nelson Fire Protection Incorporated, $334,297. Bid package 013 Cryer and Olson Mechanical Incorporated, $1,170,000. Bid package 014 F.E. Moran Incorporated, $3,692,608. Bid package 015 pending separate award to be determined. Bid package 016 Twin Oaks Landscaping Incorporated, $391,500. Bid package 017 Chadwick Contracting, $152,700. This expenditure will be charged to the Capital Projects Fund. The cost is included in the budget for the 2025-2026 through 2026-2027 fiscal years.
Do board members have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next item, bid plant operations snow removal services. Ashley McKinney, Assistant Director of Plant Operations, and Nick Corrin, Coordinator of Grounds, will present the attached proposal summary and will respond to questions from the Board of Education. Administration recommends award to the lowest responsible bidder, T&T Landscape Construction Incorporated, in the amount of $67,055 and requests authorization for district administration to execute related documents. This expenditure will be charged to the Operations Fund. The cost is included in the budget for the 2025-2026 fiscal year.
Do board members have any questions? Sue?
So you mentioned that you divide the district into 5 regions and you got bids for 3 of them. Why not the other 2? Do you have any idea?
So when we talked to the contractors that had bid, part of the reasoning, Bartlett and South Elgin are huge schools.
Okay, the
and
high
so
schools.
they present their own issues with staffing on their end. So putting the regions into bigger regions actually complicated things a little bit. So when we went back out to rebid, we are shortening those regions up,
Okay, so there'll be more than 5 then? There'll be,
hopefully.
okay, okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item, proposal plan operations, emergency repair, educational services center sprinkler system. Joining Ashley McCaney is Josh Bew, coordinator of maintenance and operations, to present the attached proposal summary and respond to questions from the Board of Education. Administration recommends approval of the proposal from Cintas Corporation in the amount of $97,575.70, and requests authorization for district administration to execute related documents. This expenditure was charged to the operations fund. The cost is included in the budget for the 2025-2026 fiscal year.
Do board members have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next, proposal curriculum and instruction, classroom libraries. Dr. Latrice Satterwhite, Assistant Superintendent of Equity and Innovation, and Jacqueline Johnson, Coordinator of Literacy and Libraries, will present the attached proposal summary and respond to questions from the Board of Education. Administration recommends approval of the proposal from Scholastic in the amount of $182,929.95, and requests authorization for district administration to execute related documents. This expenditure will be charged to the education fund. The cost is included in the budget for the 2025-2026 fiscal year.
Do board members have any questions? Thank you. Okay, that is the last item on our agenda. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Kerr?
Yes.
Ms. Khan?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Ms. Nolan?
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
President Owens?
Yes.
We are adjourned at 8:48 PM.
Thank you, everyone.
Ms. Kerr, if you want this printed out.
Oh, well, I offered it to you.
I know. That's the voice.
Okay.